Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of The Learning Curve. I'm your host, Socheta, and today marks a very special milestone as we hit episode 33. We're coming to you live from the studio, and honestly, the energy today is just electric.
It really is, Socheta. Thank you for having me. It's hard to believe we've reached 33 episodes already. Time flies when you're dissecting the future of human knowledge, doesn't it?
It certainly does. Now, today we are tackling a topic that was once called the death of the university and is now being hailed as its digital savior. We are talking about massive open online courses, or MOOCs. Mr. Cerrone, you've been in the education sector for decades. Do you remember the hype back in 2012?
Oh, vividly. 2012 was the year of the MOOC, according to the New York Times. There was this almost frantic sense of wonder and a bit of fear that places like Harvard and MIT were going to put traditional colleges out of business by offering their content for free to millions.
And yet, here we are in the mid-2020s, and the brick-and-mortar universities are still standing. But the landscape has shifted, hasn't it? It feels like the feeling of education has changed from a closed room to an open field.
That is a beautiful way to put it, an open field. But as anyone who has ever tried to hike an open field knows, you can get lost without a map. That was the first big hurdle, completion rates. Do you remember the early statistics?
I do. They were quite staggering. Less than 10% of students who started a MOOC actually finished it. It felt like everyone was signing up for a marathon, but stopping at the first water station.
Exactly. And that's where the future part of our discussion today begins. We've moved past the novelty. We are now in the era of MOOC 2.0, or maybe even 3.0. It's no longer just about access. It's about engagement and outcome.
I've noticed that. I was looking at Coursera and edX recently, and the shift toward professional certificates and stackable degrees is massive. It's not just about learning for fun anymore, is it? It's about learning for life change.
Precisely. The future of MOOCs in higher education isn't about replacing the degree. It's about unbundling it. Universities are realizing they can offer a modular experience. You take a course from a university in Singapore, a specialization from one in London, and you stack them into a credential that employers actually value.
That sounds liberating, but I wonder, does it lose the human touch? One of the things I loved about my university days were the late-night debates in the library. Can a MOOC ever capture that sense of belonging?
That is the million-dollar question, and this is where artificial intelligence and virtual reality come in. The MOOCs of the next decade will be immersive. Imagine a history course where you aren't just watching a video of a professor, but you're standing in a digital recreation of the Roman Senate, debating with AI-driven avatars of other students.
That sounds like science fiction, but we're actually seeing the seeds of that now, aren't we? With AI tutors like Conmigo or the integration of GPT-4 into learning platforms?
We are. The personalization is the key. In the old MOOC model, the massiveness was the problem. One professor for 100,000 students. But with AI, we can have 100,000 tutors for 100,000 students, each one tailoring the pace and the feeling of the lesson to the individual.
I love that. It makes the massive feel personal. But what about the equity gap? I often worry that while we talk about these high-tech futures, many people around the world still struggle with basic internet connectivity. Is the future of MOOCs truly global?
That is a critical point, Socheta. We must be careful not to create a digital divide, where the wealthy get the high-touch, AI-augmented human experience, and everyone else gets a static video. The future must involve offline-first mobile apps and government-subsidized data for learning in developing regions.
I couldn't agree more. Education should be a right, not a luxury. I've heard rumors that some major universities are looking to make their entire freshman year available via MOOCs for a fraction of the cost. Do you think that's the way forward?
I do. It lowers the barrier to entry. It allows a student to prove they can handle the work before they commit to a massive loan. It's a try-before-you-buy model that brings a level of fairness back to the system.
Try before you buy for a Harvard education? My younger self would have loved that. So, if you had to summarize the feeling of the future of higher education in one word, what would it be?
Pause, then speaks with conviction. Fluidity. The boundaries between working and learning, between physical and digital, and between student and professional are dissolving. We are becoming lifelong learners by design, not by accident.
Wow, fluidity. I like that. It feels like we are moving away from the rigid blocks of our lives, school, then work, then retirement, into a constant stream of growth.
Exactly. And MOOCs are the pipes that will carry that stream to every corner of the globe. It's an exciting time to be an educator and an even more exciting time to be a student.
Well, I think that is a perfect note to end on. Mr. Cerrone, thank you so much for sharing your insights today. You've given me, and I'm sure our listeners, a lot to think about.
My pleasure, Socheta. Keep asking the big questions.
And to all of you listening at home, in your cars, or maybe while you're taking a MOOC yourselves, thank you for joining us for episode 33. The future is wide open, and we're glad to be exploring it with you. Until next time, stay curious.